To help guide the player to see which key fits a lock, we try to incorporate some common design denominators on both the lock and the key. And hopefully it makes it easier for the player to see, and at the same time keep it very grounded in the era. To help guide the player to see which key fits a lock, we try to
One of the most important clues you find in this room is the newspaper, which both talks about the era, which is, of course, the 1930s, the Depression, and we also learn about the place that we're in Louisiana, with talk of John's Eve and the voodoo and the cults. We sort of set up that whole notion of that this is something that will come later. But we also present Cassandra Beauregard, which is our narrator and one of the guests here at Derceto. As we begin Chapter 2, we allow the player to move a little bit more freely around Derceto and discover more of it. Of course, they start off mostly locked off, but you're able to unlock most of it and get a better sense of what the house is. But of course, we're also keeping some of it a secret for Chapter 4.
The original game was a kind of an early open world. Once you discover a new room or a new floor, you can go back to it. It was not used a lot in the game, but you can.
I'm not going to walk out of this now. I need to help Emily save her uncle.
I need the key.
Lost Plantations of Louisiana, Thierry Briclot, 1917. Derceto was a small plantation on the eastern shore of Lake Pontchartrain. The land was considered difficult for industry and was sold for only $30 to Elijah Pickford in 1818. Pickford employed hundreds of workers from nearby New Orleans to clear the woods and build a small plantation mansion facing the lake with a striking Greek Revival temple facade. Derceto kept a modest production of Barrique tobacco and indigo that persisted up till the Civil War. During the antebellum era, Derceto was the source of many rumors concerning voodoo and witchcraft. People who traveled the lake reported seeing people dance at night in front of bonfires, bleating and wailing. On June 17, 1862, Captain J.W. Norton of the Union Army recounts leading a raiding party from ships anchored in Lake Pontchartrain in order to seize control of Derceto and free the slaves working there. The captain was surprised to find the workers fighting back with unprecedented zeal. Norton's account describes these men and women as enraged with fanaticism. Pickford reportedly tried to placate the raiders, but was shot in the confusion. Captain Norton left the mansion burning and retreated to his ships with his men. Derceto was left in ruins for several decades. The ownership of the land was long disputed and returned to the Ledoux family in 1901. Several police reports were filed during the following years as the Ledoux tried to get rid of a camp of squatters on their land. The police made several visits to remove the trespassers, but the people kept returning. On November 1st, 1907, Inspector Legrasse of the police charged a deadly attack in order to save several children kidnapped by the squatters. Many were killed, and even more were jailed. The following year, Ledoux rebuilt Derceto, incorporating the surviving stone foundation and adding a magnificent wrought iron conservatory. The farmland had been reclaimed by the surrounding woods, so it was no longer profitable to use as a plantation. Instead, the house was turned into an artist's colony. The Astarte Artist Colony was a successful group of artists, including figures such as painter Heinrich Cassel and poet Nora Keith. The group was also known for their beloved Mardi Gras crew called the Pirates of Pontchartrain. On September 29, 1915, a tropical hurricane tore through Louisiana, causing Lake Pontchartrain to flood New Orleans. Due to the remote location of Derceto, it took almost 2 weeks for outsiders to learn that the artist's colony was abandoned. The 12 residing artists had all vanished without a trace. The empty mansion of Derceto still stands on the shore of Lake Pontchartrain, with much of its temple facade intact. The Ledoux family currently has no intention of repairing the house.
I like games where you need to read books because it sets a different pace. It's not an action game and the player can be more immersed in the story. There are two reasons for the book in the original game. The first one was to add another layer of horror, to try to put more scary things in the head, in the mind of the player. The other reason is to give clue, to give information to the player to be able to solve the puzzles.
Ooh.
One of the big challenge of the game was how to scare the player. What I did find at this time is that I needed to scare the player with what he is doing most of the time. I mean, moving, opening doors. So that's why there is this trapdoor in the first corridor that you cannot avoid. It was just to put a pressure. It just happened once in the game, but I was sure that since this moment the player was just scared to move in the game. Same thing for opening a door. The second door in the game, you can find a monster behind it. There is even a book that you can die from just reading it, which is something you need to do often in the game. So the pressure was constant on the player.
What happened? Everything's normal again? Stain. Looks like some
You know, Mr. Waits, I saw...
rot.
What are you doing in my kitchen? I assure you. No,
I'm sorry, I
promise
didn't-
you. Mr. Hartwood is
I was just
nowhere
looking
near my
for-
kitchen, and neither should you be. Don't make me
I
kick
didn't
you
mean
out
to-
of this house.
Sorry.
Now get out!
Yeah.
I need the key.
Conby was in shock, but also a little embarrassed. The housekeeper was furious to find him searching through the kitchen and had run him out of the room. There was something strange going on with her.
It's wedged shut.
Saw your notice in the boiler room. You should know Mr. Chance won't be coming back. I got no business being in there myself, but you can take a valve from the wine cellar if you wanna try to stop the steam pouring out. Be careful.
Paul, you're right about the plates on the boiler and the clock. They have been sabotaged, and I think I know who did it. They have something to do with Jeremy's episodes and how he seems to disappear at night. Right now, it's important that you keep an eye out for any of the pieces. I want to find out if I can repair the plates. Let me know if you find any of them. Lottie.
Tell Lottie to take a look at the well in the kitchen garden. Dr. Elmore Lee Gray is Derceto's chief doctor. Accounting and all administrative work is handled by me, Paul Waits. Magdalena Thompson, or Mags, is responsible for the household. Jean-Baptiste and Charlotte Tabois are responsible for keeping the guests' medical regimens in check. Finally, Jack Chance is our gardener, who can occasionally be seen in the conservatory, but is for the most part busy outside. There are currently 6 guests at Derceto. Malcolm McCarthy and Ruth Tallant reside on the first floor. Jeremy Hartwood, Elisabetta Perosi, Grace Saunders, and of course Cassandra Beauregard live on the second floor.
Looks like all the patients are accounted for, except for Jeremy. There's no way I can get into this thing. Better leave it alone. There's no way I can get into this thing. Better leave it alone. There's no way I can get into this thing. Better leave it alone. There's no way I can get into this thing. Better leave it alone. I need the key. There's no way I can get into this thing. Better leave it alone.
Yeah, sorry, Detective. Didn't mean to obstruct justice or anything.
That's fine.
You know, I'm kind of busy with my own case of a missing person. I was wondering if you've seen Grace, girl about yay high?
I can't say that I have. Why are you asking?
Well, I'm looking for her.
Is she in trouble?
No. She's just hiding somewhere. But we can't have a rascal like that running around unchecked at a time like this, you understand?
Well, I haven't seen her.
Well, let me know if you find her. I'll be around. I'll keep an eye out for your man, Jeremy. You scratch my back, Detective, and I'll scratch yours.
This must be the clock that Jeremy wrote about in the commonplace book. I need the key. Oh. Looks like the plate that held the talisman in the seance room. But it's broken and missing some pieces. Looks like everything's back to normal here.
Emily's here. Emily's here.
Eccentric. What are these symbols? Looks like alchemy or star constellations.
I did it! I crossed the thresholds to my intended destination without a focusing device. My talisman now knows these roads, and I have no need for the plates. I can find my way to Lafayette as easy as I find my own room. I visited the grave of my father and seen the oven waiting for me. Thank you for opening these doors. I now must summon my courage and go back to that hateful mound outside the oil rig. I hope you'll be feeling better when I return. Jeremy.
Astarte artist colony. I remember hearing about their disappearance. Must have been 15 years or more now.
Will I need to remember how to get them out again? They are locked up for good reason. I am sure she is still able to whisper the answer in the ears of the wrong people. But not for long. I will see her burned soon enough. That black goat will be sacrificed to put an end to it all. Then it will all be over. No more Derceto, and sadly, no Astarte. Those good pirates of Pontchartrain. May you still sail the lake, until you find the shores of Hali.
These paintings got some grim-looking rot on them.